All right, guys, welcome back to the Sports Project for the first ever video edition. Um, it's been a while since we've been on. We've been just busy with COVID stuff. We've been recording, but we just not uploading. We've just been trying to really get better, with the lack of sports going on. We've had the NBA playoffs, and we've, of course, been talking about that. That's kind of why we've been trying to getting recording with the NBA playoffs starting up. But before we get on that, just wanted to let you guys know we are still recording. We're still here. We're still doing stuff. We in these streets.
Absolutely.
We doing
We're
it.
just yeah, we're definitely in these streets, man. We like John said, just dealing with life a little bit, trying to make the podcast a little bit better for everyone that's tuning in every week. So hopefully you'll start seeing those improvements, and we're going to start doing this more on a regular basis. We're going to have a couple of different components. Like we said, we're definitely adding in the video. We've kind of upgraded the audio a little bit. You know, John, we're sending his little ass to school so that he can know how to mix all of it all up for us pretty good. So, it's going to be good, guys. So we appreciate your patience riding with us, but just stick with us and we'll get through this together, But what you been up to, John?
Man, not much, man. I last time we left you guys, my wife was pregnant. Actually, it was my girlfriend technically that was pregnant. Because we were actually not married at the time. But I think I was calling her my
But you
wife.
are now.
Yeah, but we are now. We're officially married. The baby is not out yet. We actually got probably about 3 weeks left, so not very long. um, so not much here going on, man. Honestly, just been I have started going to school, started class 2 weeks ago. My third week of class starts tomorrow.
So
So I just gotta do some
are
homework
you
tonight.
all virtual, or are you going in-person classes, or how are they running that right now?
Yeah, so right now it's all virtual, which is really odd for me because I'm pretty sure we've talked about that. Me and Brandon served. So of course I've got what's called a GI Bill, and it's where we get to go to school basically for free. They pay for our school and books and tuition and all that stuff, and then we get a stipend for basically monthly house living. So like they'll pay you between like $900 to $1,500 a month, but that only sets up if you are doing online and in-person classes. Um, and
Oh,
typically you're at least doing some in person. And even when you're doing online, you still get some kind of stipend, but it's not nearly as much. So it's going to be weird. I'm interested to see how it goes. Online classes have been, to say the least, man, they've been easy. I know it's like we're only 2 weeks in, but it's been easy, man. Just this. I'm only taking math and English right now, but it's just been basic, kind of like the basic stuff I kind of took in high school. The math has been kind of difficult, but I've actually understood it a lot better. But other than that, man, not much. Waiting for the
yeah.
baby.
Well, like you said, it's week 2, man. We'll catch up with you about week 22 and see how you're still feeling on that, and make sure those A's are still so easy, like you said.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure it's gonna get harder. I know my English class honestly isn't gonna get too much more difficult. It's really just writing papers. So my struggle there is just gonna be making sure that because like true proper grammar is so weird, man. It's so weird.
Right.
Um,
Oh yeah, man. Who talks all that proper shit, man? Get that out of here.
yeah, I'm
We've
trying to use
we've
the
already
slang,
established
dog.
we're from the streets, man. We've been
Ah,
in these streets, boy.
yeah. Hey, I am from the South though, so I do use some slang. Um,
You throw a little y'all in there, huh?
Yeah, oh yeah, you all is not a common phrase around these parts. Um, but I lived in New Jersey. Of course, my girl's from New Jersey, and I actually did live in New Jersey for like a year. And that's what they say. They say you all, and I'm I'm like, what, man? Just combine that shit, call it y'all. You doing too much.
Yeah. They got too much time up there for full phrases and sentences and actual words. Nah, fuck it.
Yeah,
We got our own dictionary, man. We're gonna shorten it up because we're lazy.
yeah. Hey, I meant to ask you. So this isn't technically our first video. We've done a video before, but we just didn't post it or do anything because we were just kind of trying to figure it out. And we plan on publishing this. Hopefully it does get published, assuming that everything goes right. But so how well can you see everything that's in the back there? Can you read that sign, what that says?
Conquer?
No, not that one, the black one.
Oh, nah, man.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to get some bigger letters for that. I was wondering. I meant to ask you guys last time. It says "fuck COVID" right now. It just said "sports" last time. I was like, I don't know what else to put, so I'm just gonna put "sports."
There you go, man.
I'll have to get some bigger letters though, because I want to have that. I want to have that and say just random stuff every time we're in a podcast. So,
yeah.
But what have you been up to, man? I know work's been kind of here and there. I've been working a little bit. I know you've been working here and there, home and going.
Yeah, man. I mean, like you said, work's definitely picking back up. You trying to get a little bit back to normal, so that's definitely a good thing.
Yes.
Playing a little bit of golf, watching a little bit of golf, trying to, be a father, husband, everything, all the above. So it's
everything in between.
Yeah, man, it's time consuming, but it's I love it, man. It's a good time, but just the boys are starting to get into golf a little bit. They want to go out and hit the range a little bit with the old man. We watched a little bit of Popeye the Sailor Man today, so introduced them to some nostalgia cartoons, things like that. But
yes, sir.
It's funny, man. They make me laugh
Oh,
every day. It's awesome.
Oh my goodness! Sorry, dude. I just turned around. It's 10-1 Atlanta right now for the Phillies. Holy crap! In the second inning.
I just had that pulled up a minute ago, and yeah, when they first started, I had it pulled up, and there was nothing on it at all. It was 0-0 still.
I know. That was the last time I
because they said, yeah, they start.
I told you, dude. Holy crap, man. Oh, man.
Oh, my
that's
God.
Crazy. No, man, dude, honestly, I'm so looking forward. I didn't mean to drop that right when you dropped the stuff about your kids.
Nah, it's crazy. Okay, so I already pulled up the stats. So again, like you said, second inning, we're bottom of the second inning. So they scored all 10 runs in the second inning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Swanson had 1 RBI. Freddie Freeman had 2 RBIs. Azunia had 1. D. Armand had 1. Nate Markakis had 2. And old Austin Riley had 3 RBIs already, man.
Damn.
Dude,
They're killing
that
it.
is sick and nasty, man.
Yeah, golly.
Well, I know we've been kind of going back and forth. I know a couple of weeks ago, like you said, and guys, you're going to hear some of this content coming out. We're still trying to piece everything together, like we said. So everything was kind of a mumbled mess. But
yeah,
weeks ago, when we were, I guess what I kind of thought was the halfway point, but we were really more like the quarter, getting to the halfway point. The Braves were killing it, man, and just came out swinging really, really tough. And then
just a few early losses, that was it.
Yeah, and then as soon as we said that, we jinxed the hell out of them because right now they're
I know.
What are they? What is this? 18-14. They're 6-10 away. Hell, the Phillies they're playing tonight are 14-14. It just goes to show you how quickly this can swing with this kind of schedule and this kind of season that's playing out.
The Marlins lead the division, right?
I would have to check, but I believe the Marlins have been on fire, actually, man.
Well, and they've had
the National
less
League East. No, actually, they don't. They're 14-15. So the Braves lead it right now, by 2 games.
Oh, nice.
And then it's the Phillies, the Marlins, the Mets, and then, of course, the Nationals are in last, which is exactly where they deserve to be. So they can stay just right there.
Just right there, yes. They can stay there all season. Yeah, it's been a little while since I checked the standings, and last I had heard, the Marlins were sitting in first because they had played I think they had 6 or 7 less games, and they had only lost 7 or 8, maybe 9. something like that. So they were leading the NL East, but that is good that we're leading the NL East, but 18 and 14 ain't going to I mean, again, we're getting to the halfway mark now, right? Because it's 60 games. So we're a little I guess we're a little past the halfway mark now at this
Yeah,
point.
some teams are past. Like the Rays, man, they've played 35 games already.
That's crazy.
I mean,
It
hell,
just.
even the Red
I
Sox,
mean,
they've played 34 games.
it's not
Yeah, we're
crazy. It's not crazy how many games they've played necessarily. It's just crazy that we're already halfway through a season at 30 games in.
okay. So I do have a question, and want to get your opinion on this. So
Oh,
again, they had to change the doubleheader rules to 7 inning games now.
yeah.
How do you feel about, because the other night, and again, I'm a homer, so it was a Braves game, but the other night, I forget the pitcher's debut, man. He had a no hitter going into the fifth, I believe it was. Now it was a doubleheader, so it was a known 7 inning game, but it started coming out that if he did complete the game 7 innings with the no hitter, it would actually go in the record books as a completed game, no hitter, completely
Yeah.
legit.
Well, yeah, because I mean, even if you have even let's just assume COVID never happened and we're just playing regular baseball. Even if you if you're pitching a no hitter and what is it? You make it to the sixth inning. I think you have to make it to the sixth inning for it to be a technical completed game. If it was postponed or whatever rain, I think
Yeah.
even that counts. I think that goes down as a no hitter. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but I'm almost
Yeah,
positive.
and I mean, again, maybe that's just a technicality that I've never really had a problem with. But I think, I don't know. And again, just me personally, and this was watching the Braves. I was pulling for the guy. I didn't want to say anything. I kept waiting for Brandon to text and ruin it, but he didn't. The
Yeah,
guy ruined it on his own.
yeah.
Just for you guys that don't know, Brandon has ruined like 4 no hitters this year already. As soon as it gets to
That's like
like the sixth inning, we'll all get the notifications from ESPN or CBS or wherever you get your
yes,
sports notifications from.
yes.
And Brandon will literally within 5 minutes just be like, "Hey man, hey big game over here, man. Might want to check it out." And then sure as shit, next thing you know, it's done. So I don't, he didn't ruin this one. Again, like I said, the pitcher ruined it himself, but I was just wondering about that, and I don't know how I feel about that, because again, I get it. It's only 2 innings, but then again, man, you didn't complete the game. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of a purist in that way.
So what I'm what is your beef or what is your problem with what happened? I'm not. So did
It's
he
not a full
get
game.
like
It's not a full game.
with
It's
him?
not a full game. Yeah, I mean, even if
Oh
he did pitch a no hitter for 7 innings, hey man, that's great, but like in my opinion, that's an asterisk. Like, hey, no hitter, good
oh
job.
okay. So
But
you're
this is a
saying
7 inning game. I'm just saying, and I get it, because don't get me wrong, in a 7 inning game, all the RBIs count, all the hits count, all the home runs count. I mean, everything counts. So
yeah.
I don't know why it kind of threw me off that hey, that would count. It just rubbed me the wrong way that maybe a pitcher could get a no hitter off 7 innings. Like, bitch, it is a 9 inning game.
Well, I think I can definitely understand your point, and I think a lot of people do. Even if like I agree. I think if you pitch 7 innings, if that's what the rules say, if that's a full game, blah blah blah, then cool, get it. That's fine. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, you're talking about pitch count is the biggest thing when it comes to a pitcher. As from my point of view, I think from anybody's point of view, really, it's going to be pitch count. It's like the biggest deal with a pitcher, especially when you're talking about throwing 7, 8, 9 innings. So when you say, I don't think it should be a complete game or a no hitter or whatever because it was only 7 innings. Absolutely. I mean, let's just say you throw average 15 pitches an inning. If you're only pitching 7 innings, you're only throwing what? 105 pitches, right? Is that math right? 5 times 7 is 35. 10 times 7 is 70.
Uh, I mean,
105.
close enough, something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
so it's 105 pitches. Well, if you are throwing 15 pitches an inning, factor in you're going into the 8th and 9th inning now because you're going to have to pitch in the 9th. So that's 30 more pitches you got to throw. That's 135 pitches now. And you don't know how that 30th pitch or that 130th pitch or that 125th pitch is going to come out or what's going to happen to that ball. Because, I mean, baseball, it's always any given pitch. So I could definitely see your point, and I definitely see why you think maybe it shouldn't be counted. But I mean, hey, Barry Bonds
and that's what I'm saying
Barry Bonds records still count. So I mean,
Barry Bonds record counts, and you know those steroids he put into his ass also counted too, man.
Yeah,
I love it when someone.
I love it when
people argue that they go, oh, no, man, he didn't do steroids, dude. He just really started taking care of his body. And I'm like, dude, okay, let's go look at this man's picture at 26 years old in his prime when he's cranking 500-foot home runs. I mean, he was still cranking them. Don't get me wrong. Okay, dude, you don't put on 100 pounds of pure muscle and your head blow up 4 times its size because you're just working out. Go ask Bryson DeChambeau. Like that just doesn't happen, man. You know, like, again, don't be mad because you hang out with Mark McGuire and, you know, and Jose Canseco and everybody like that. I mean, look, man, it is what it is. That's what baseball was in the 90s. But again, just like, you know, I don't believe in the 7-inning no-hitter. I don't believe Barry Bonds is the home run king. All hail to Hank Aaron, baby.
Yeah, I had two real good buddies in the Army that we used to hang out all the time, and all 3 of us were really into sports. And one of the guys was actually a Braves fan, even though he was from Oregon. His family grew up in Alabama, so he was a Braves fan. And the other guy was from California, and he was a Giants fan. And so he was full-blown Barry Bonds, he absolutely earned those records and blah, blah, blah. And we constantly be like, no, dude, there should be an asterisk. You have to, understand that. And he's like, no. So when he hears this, if he sees this, I know he's probably, if he sees it, he's definitely going to call me. He's going to text me or something.
But well, when he does, you can just say, hey, man, asterisk.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. I agree. I don't think his record stands wholly as the home run king. I think that still belongs to old Hanky. But
what's up, everyone? This is Brandon from the Sports Project. This new little thing we're doing now, it's called Patreon. I'm sure when you've listened to other podcasts, you've heard about it. All it is a small donation once a month to help support us and help keep us giving you the best sports-related content, the hottest interviews, and the most breaking news. There's 3 different tiers we offer right now. Little League, for a single US dollar, you get a shout-out every episode. Junior Athlete, for $3 a month, you get to pick one topic for the Sports Project to cover. I don't care if it's Kentucky Derby, US Open, or even your favorite minor league team wherever you're from. And then All-American, $5 a month. That's it. It allows you to come in and talk on the Sports Project, come join us in the recording, and be a part of the show every single month. So go out, join our Patreon, support us, and help us keep giving you the best content available.
So, moving on from the MLB, I actually want to talk about something that's something else that's going on right now. Got the NBA playoffs. Actually got a couple semifinal games set in place. Actually, I think they played one. They played the Celtics and Raptors. Celtics beat the Raptors 112-94. That was today.
It's a little hard to keep up. Are they playing? Are they not playing? What's going on? I get it, man. Hey, we're not a political show. We're not going to get into any of this this other stuff that's going on. Again, let's either play or let's not play. I think Brandon said it in our group message. He's just like, look, man, are we doing it or are we not? Like, what's going
Yeah.
on? I don't know. It seems like every day it's something new.
Yeah.
There was a report out. I know that LeBron James had said a couple of days ago that he wasn't going to play. He was going to boycott the rest of the season. Apparently, Barack Obama personally reached out to him and kind of just told him the importance of them playing and finishing out the season and, having all this going on. So, I mean, hell, whether you agree with the man's politics or not, man, at least he's a sports fan. So I guess he did something right. But I mean, what do you think about all this? I mean, I know it's been crazy going on. The games have been good though, man. I mean, man, these guys are pulling up from everywhere.
They don't give a shit, bro. Man, it's as far as of course, like Kevin said, we keep politics out of here. We like to we keep really anything not sports related out, just because we like to keep it sports related. But yeah, I mean, with them sitting out, and I get it. I understand what's going on, and I understand why they sat out. But yeah, I mean, it is kind of annoying when it was dropped because of COVID, and then okay, we're back, we're playing, and then COVID's not over, but we're playing sports. There's a couple organizations playing, and then all of a sudden now organizations are canceling games, and I don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think
they're back
most
now,
of the. Yeah, I think most of the NBA teams, they actually came out and said, hey, look, we're boycotting this. We're sitting it out, this and that. So they kind of made that announcement. I know that there were several, I want to say 2 or 3 baseball games that I heard about that the players actually came out. They did the national anthem. They did a 42-second moment of silence for Jackie Robinson and then just left. And I think that was actually at 2 or 3 different games, if I'm not mistaken. It was that similar kind of storyline. There was a bunch of stuff coming out that day and the following day, different teams and organizations doing whatever protest or kind of standings that they felt they should be a part of. So there was so much stuff that was coming out. But, yeah, I mean, that was almost kind of a boss move. You come out, everybody thinks you're going to play, and then you just walk off.
Yeah.
Dude, that is ballsy, man. But I think that also went over a lot better because there wasn't fans in the stands. If you had a packed out stadium and 2 teams just walked off,
yeah,
dude, you're going to have a riot on your hands right there.
Yeah.
That was pretty crazy. But I mean, what you thought about some of these games?
Oh man, they've been exactly as expected, dude. These teams are playing super hard. I think a lot of people thought the Lakers weren't going to be as strong with with LeBron. Oh no. I think some people thought the Lakers weren't going to be as strong with LeBron being older.
I thought you were saying the Lakers were just going to dance through, which I thought the Lakers were going to kind of dance through.
Yeah.
They've stumbled a little bit, so I'll give people that for sure.
Yeah, I think when they stumble, because I think it was. Let me go back and look, because I should be able to go pretty easily. It was 3-1, and then it was.
Yeah, I mean they beat them 4-1.
So
they beat the Trailblazers 4-1. They only lost the opening game.
The opening game. That's what I'm saying.
I did talk to my buddy who he put down, I think, like a stack on the Trailblazers to beat the Lakers first round.
Oh, wow.
And if he would have won, I think it would have been like a $26,000 payout. And after game 1, man, he calls me up. He's like, hey, buddy, where we going? What are we doing? And I hadn't heard anything from him since. So that was about a week and a half ago. So I knew the Lakers were winning and coming out pretty strong when I didn't hear anything about it. So I'll have to reach back out and get an update for you guys and see how bad that one's hurting.
Yeah, no, I mean they've been great games. We've got a couple really good series going down. I think these 2 series didn't surprise anybody, at least are not surprising to me that they're going down to the wire. You got the Nuggets and Jazz playing today at 8:30, which I'll probably put that on here in 10 minutes because honestly, this is
don't need to put the Braves
game
on.
Whoa, hold on, it's 10-4 now. I'm just saying though,
God.
it is 10-4 though, so. And we are talking about the Braves, and We know who we represent. So, hey, I'll
Mm.
rep them, but I understand who we are.
Play to your strengths, boys. Play to your
Yes,
strengths.
exactly. I know that getting the lead early is not that great for us. Getting the lead late is what we need. So yeah, they got the Nuggets and Jazz coming up in 10 minutes, so I'm gonna probably cut that on. And then they've got Rockets and Thunder, game 6 also, 9 p.m. tomorrow. So those games, Houston leads 3-2, Utah leads 3-2, for the Jazz.
Yeah, and
So
the Jazz were one of your teams that you kind of liked. I know, again, we keep referring to stuff that has already been recorded and not released. I promise, guys, you're going to get clips of the content. But just trust me, John did actually kind of pick out the Jazz, saying that he really kind of liked their setup, had a little bit of a younger team, real athletic team, definitely something that he thought that they could take advantage of with the quarantine, the bubble atmosphere, and having that tournament style, extended playoffs and the seeding and everything that they've done. So with
and
the Jazz playing like that, man, it's been surprising. I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised with the Jazz. Again, even you did all the research, man. You came to the table with the stats and everything, and I was just like, look, it's the Jazz, like the Jazz. But
so
yeah, man, they've been a pleasant surprise though.
the biggest thing to me for them was they weren't really gonna, with them being a young team, they weren't gonna have to deal with the home field advantage for Utah. For Denver.
Huge,
Um,
huge.
yeah, and so that's huge when you're talking about young players not having to play in a crowd full of people that are rooting against them during the playoffs.
Absolutely.
And especially when you're talking about the Denver Nuggets, that's a pretty solid fan base. So you're going to get a loud game you're going to play against.
Especially in the playoffs and,
Yeah,
and in that type of atmosphere. I mean,
yeah,
hell, I remember when Carmelo was out there and Birdman, and I mean, dude,
yes.
I became a bandwagon fan just from watching playoff games in Denver and just seeing that atmosphere and all of that. Again, with the Hawks, it was that way sometimes, but just seeing that like year in and year out of what, the Nuggets fan base brought. I mean, that's a huge fan base. Like you said, having a young team come in and having to deal with that. This quarantine definitely, and this bubble definitely kind of, angles teams. And something else that I thought was crazy, LeBron James hasn't not played in front of fans since he was in 6th grade. They went back and did like a whole report, man. There was an article I was reading on. I mean, most of his games in high school, every single one of them, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, were all on ESPN. They used to travel around St. Vincent, St. Mary. They used to travel around and sell out convention centers just to watch LeBron James play in high school.
That's insane.
So I mean, this guy has not played in front of no fans like they're doing right now. Excuse me, literally since probably 6th grade. LeBron's gotten a lot of shit for what's been going on. Again, them taking a stumble that very first game against the Trailblazers, but they're back on track, man. So that experience definitely pays off. But John, like you said, with the Jazz, those young teams not having to go into those hostile environments. Could you imagine the Jazz going into Houston? I mean, dude, they would run them boys out there. Man, a bunch of Mormons in Texas, boy, that ain't gonna work out well.
Yeah, I mean, the bubble has definitely benefited some of these teams. I think you can look towards the younger teams, definitely. I'm not 100% sure which teams, minus the Jazz, that are really young, all around. I know the Mavericks, I think, are pretty young. But teams like the Lakers, they got a lot of veteran talent. So this bubble thing doesn't really affect them as much. I don't think LeBron is playing any differently because he's playing not in front of people. I think he's still, for one, playing pretty well. But I think those younger kids, like I said earlier, are just able to play a little bit better because they don't deal with that hostile crowd, that all that influence, kind of putting either or even your own crowd, honestly, can put that pressure on you to really perform and try to, someone like Donovan Mitchell try to really ball out because you feel like, this is my team, I got to take command. Well, maybe not. I mean, you got a lot of players next to you that can shoot and that can drive the paint really well. So I think this kind of bubble atmosphere has really benefited those younger teams more than it has, teams like the Lakers, or even I think the Blazers. I think they're fairly veteran.
Yeah. So I think the biggest problem that the Lakers are going to face is what do they have after LeBron and AD? And again, I pulled up the stats, so I'm looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, AD's averaging just under 30 points a game at 29.8. LeBron is averaging just over 27.4.
Mm-hmm.
Rebounds, they're both averaging about a double-double. Hell, actually, LeBron's averaging a triple-double. He's averaging a triple-double. 10.2 rebounds, 10.2 assists. But after that, man, there's nothing. And it's almost kind of it's a cliff. I mean, they got, KCP, so Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He's their next best, but he's averaging 11 points a game, 1 rebound, and 1 assist. And he is their number 3. Like, he is number 3.
Yeah.
So I think I guess what I mean by this is their time may be up in a very quick, short amount of time. If anybody, and again, I know what I'm saying, but if anybody can even slow down LeBron James or Anthony Davis, that's the key to getting the Lakers out. Because again, when you take those two guys and you only slow one of them down, their bench is not going to make up for what's being lost. There's too much of that gap. And again, what I mean by that is going and looking at their stats compared to a younger team like the Jazz. You don't necessarily have the huge points. Now, Donovan Mitchell is averaging over 37 points a game. So, like I said, a lot of these dudes are balling out. But then their next 5, like I said, Donovan Mitchell's at 37 points a game. Then you got 23, 23, 23, 19, 17, 10. They got 7 players doing the same thing that the Lakers' entire bench can't do. So there's my 2 cents, man. I don't know. I'm just trying to, like I said, I like what you said. The younger players, they're not having to deal with the atmosphere. They're literally just going out and playing. And it's definitely playing towards their favor, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's made this game or these playoffs a little more exciting. And that's what I said. Well, I think that's what we all kind of knew. Anybody who was watching this, I think, knew coming in that the NBA playoffs and this whole setup going into the NBA playoffs about how they were going to determine, who's going where, that set up to be, to get some really good basketball because, like I said, I think it was able to kind of level out the talent with, veteran players versus younger players because I think the experience in the playoffs comes from playing with crowds. Now, don't get me wrong, the pressure of, hey, I'm in a playoff game definitely is a factor, and the fact that the veterans have had it before, LeBron, AD, players like that, and some other players haven't. But when you take out that crowd, that's huge. So it's just made for some really exciting basketball. And I mean, you've seen some kind of blowout games, but you've seen a lot more close games, at least up until the very end. Some of them have kind of stretched out at the end, but most of them have been great games all the way up until the last 2 or 3 minutes of the fourth quarter. So yeah, I mean, I'm just looking forward to getting into the semifinals, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's only going to get better again once these teams start realizing, hey, man, this is a real season. This is a real championship. This is real. It's on the line. It's here. It's in our grasp. Maybe some of these teams and organizations were just kept thinking, hey, it's going to get postponed. We're going to get knocked out of here. There's no way it's going to happen. Whatever it is. Hey, boys, we're here, man.
Yep.
We're here.
That's
You've
happening.
already been here 2 months. You've already been here 2 months, man. You might as well stay another couple more weeks and bring home a ship and a nice little bonus,
Yep. Well, and
definitely.
I think with them not dealing, they haven't really dealt with an issue of COVID. MLB has dealt with a few issues. Sweet game looks like it's about to tip off. So they've dealt with a few issues, but
oh my God, dude, it's 10-7.
What's up, everyone? This is Brandon from the Sports Project. We got our first sponsor out here, Black Buffalo.
Yes, sir. Stuff is awesome. Tell them about it, Brandon.
So Black Buffalo is the world's only smokeless tobacco alternative that delivers the same experience as traditional smokeless tobacco without any tobacco leaf or stem. It's got the same taste, it's the same texture, the same color, and yes, the same nicotine.
What kind of flavors they got?
So flavors are all the traditional flavors you'd see out there with regular smokeless tobacco. You got wintergreen, you got straight, you got mint, you got peach,
Georgia.
and one of my favorites right now is a blood orange. I ain't never had nothing like it out of any other smokeless tobacco. So go try it out. Hit our Patreon page, any of our social medias, anything like that, and you'll be able to get a link and save a little bit of money on it and try it out.
oh no way, dude! Oh my God.
It's 10-7, bottom of the third, man. Like, what the hell? We literally gave up a 10-run lead.
Well, 9 to be fair. It was a 9-run lead, but now it's a 3-run lead. At least it's a lead. At least it's a lead.
It took 1 inning to get the lead and 1 inning to give it up.
1 inning to give it up. Yeah.
Great job, guys.
So I think, with the MLB, there is still that chance that the MLB may stop the season because there has been a few COVID issues. But I don't think it'll happen because it's really slowing down. They haven't had any fairly recently. They haven't had any big major cases or any big major issues.
Well, they did delay games today. Man, I got the notification. I kind of just deleted it away because it's the same shit, different toilet, but there was another team today that had a couple of positive cases and they just canceled the entire series until further testing and evaluation could be completed. So again, like I said, I'd have to go back and see exactly who it was, but there's another team that's going to be, another 2 or 3 games behind. And kind of like what we talked in the beginning of the show or when we got started on the MLB, we're halfway through now. I mean, we are halfway through. We're a little more than halfway through. And here's the other thing. Didn't the league say that this format, the 60-game format, the playoffs, all of that, didn't they still say that they would be done by the end of October?
I don't know.
Or is it getting extended? I know there was a timeline for it of when it would be ending.
So I'll look it up right now. So what I can tell you is that, or what I remember is that when they were trying to, the MLBPA and MLB were kind of going back and forth. MLB, I guess we could search season, maybe MLB season schedule, canceled update, opener start date. No.
Yeah, man, I got it right here. So they started July 23rd with their training camp. They got 60-game schedule, and they are to be finished. Playoffs, everything by October 31st.
Okay, and it says that that's when they are supposed to be finished by, or is that just when the schedule goes out to?
No, that is the agreement that was put in place that Rob Manfred enacted. He enacted this season. So these are the circumstances in which he enacted it. Again, the season does have to end by October 31st. So we're talking roughly 60 days from right now.
So, yeah, the only only thing I remembered was, early on when the MLB and MLBPA were negotiating, that was the stipulation was that it should end by October 31st. I didn't know if it was set
Right.
for by Robert Manfred with the 60-game season, simply because it was so late into the process of deciding this is the season we're going to play. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
Cincinnati Reds. Cincinnati Reds is the organization that had
Okay.
more positive tests. Now
And
it
they
only
had some
says,
before, didn't they?
yeah, it only says members of their team and staff. So it does not give the number of positive tests. It does not give the number of anything. There's no statistical information. All it says is that they do have positive tests, and their series has been canceled and will be made up at a later date.
So the only thing I can say about that, or the only thing I would say, I understand that some games will get canceled. Now with the NBA, they have really had no issues. Like, they have not had to cancel. I think they've had to cancel like 1 or 2 games, maybe something like that. Like, very little, if any. But the MLB, again, they haven't dealt with too many recently. I understand they've had to cancel this series, but as long as you can keep it, the onesies and twosies here and there through the next few weeks, I think you'll be okay. I think you can make those games up with double headers, so on and so forth.
It's really just kind of crunch time now, though, just
Yeah.
because, again, with that kind of deadline of the end of October approaching, and again, I know you can probably in baseball run through the playoffs. Let's be realistic. You can probably run through playoffs in about 3.5 weeks. So, again, let's say you give a couple days off from the season to the beginning of the playoffs. And then again, there was also the talk of the extended playoffs, which has not been determined yet. There is not an official stance on how many teams are even going to be in this playoff format. So I don't know, man. There's a lot of variables we really got to find out. But baseball is definitely in that crunch time where they got to start playing games. They got to have lockdowns. They can't have any more delays or anything like that. I tell you what, man, one league who is not getting enough credit for what they're doing, the NHL. We've been talking about the NBA. They've done the bubble right. They've really locked it down. There's actually been podcasts from NBA players who have now gotten together and they're putting out podcasts from inside the bubble and things like that. And I tell you what, it may not be the ideal circumstances that they all wanted to be in, but the overwhelming support that I can hear for it is that they absolutely love being there. They're having a great time. It's not necessarily a quarantine lockdown situation, but it is a safe area that they can actually, be there and do their jobs. And like I said, the NHL has done an amazing job. We haven't heard anything out of the NHL. Think about this. In a global pandemic with all of the shitstorm that the MLB's been through, the NHL, MLS, I mean, pick any organization that you want. The NHL put together and agreed upon a new CBA. They put together their bubbles. They've started their season. They've had 0 positive tests.
Yep.
Dude, the NHL's doing it right, man. I just hope and pray the NFL can make it work because I am still skeptical on how you get 60 players, and this is just NFL, 60 players with X amount of coaches, so you're probably talking around 100, 120 people with staff. How do you keep them all safe? How do you keep them all apart from everything? It only takes one slip up one time for the entire team to go down. And again, the same thing with college football, man. I know there was a couple games that kind of started last night, which is awesome to have these guys back. Youth sports in my town is starting back up. My daughter's cheering. So, they had games this weekend. So there are things that are getting back going, but, I'm really nervous and just really kind of skeptical as to how long it's going to last before, the shoe comes down, so to speak.
So, the NHL, just for anybody who's wondering, they are in seems to be the second round of their playoffs. I don't keep up with the NHL at all. I think Brandon actually knows a bit about the NHL, but he is not here. Um, but anyway, so they are in about the second round, I think. So they've got the number one Philadelphia Flyers versus the number 6 New York Islanders. New York leads it 2-1. Islanders, they play Sunday, August 30th will be game 4, and then Tuesday at 7. Oh, I'm sorry. Sunday, August 30th at 8 p.m. is game 4. Tuesday, September 1st, 7 p.m. is game 5. And then they've got Tampa Bay Lightning, number 2, versus number 4, Boston Bruins. Tampa Bay leads 3-1, so they need to. This game will win them the series, obviously. So they've got game 5, Monday, August 31st. That's tomorrow, 7 p.m. And then they've got game 6 and 7 Wednesday, September 2nd, and Thursday, September 3rd. Then in the Western Conference, they've got the number 1 Golden Knights, Vegas, versus number 5 Vancouver Canucks. The Golden Knights are leading 2-1. Game 4 is Sunday, August 30th, 10:30 p.m. Game 5, Tuesday, September 1st, 9:45 p.m. Number 2, Colorado Avalanche versus number 3, Dallas Stars. Dallas is 2-1. Game 4, Sunday, August 30th, 6 p.m. I guess some of these games have already played. They don't have the scores updated. Game 5, Monday, August 31st, 9:45 p.m. So, like you said, man, they've made it. Their second round of the playoffs. They're about to go into the semifinals and then to the Stanley Cup, and I haven't heard anything from them. I haven't heard them dealing with getting rid of games or having to play games later or anything like that. Now I don't have.
They
Yeah, I mean,
haven't. That's the thing.
I don't have, NHL, updates constantly, coming to my phone or anything, but I have been getting all the canceled game updates, especially when it has to do with COVID. I think I get almost every update for that shit. So yeah, I mean, you have to look at what the NHL and the NBA are doing. PGA, UFC, I think they have it a little easier because you're not a team sport. You don't have nearly as many moving parts, I guess, that are moving close together like you do with the NHL and the NBA. But I think everybody has to take a look at what they're doing and how they're doing it and kind of follow in those footsteps. Both of them, if you'll notice, have done bubble events. All of their stuff has been bubbled. So I think that's the way to go. And the MLB is kind of making it dodgily work through, travel and stuff. So we'll see how that continues to go for them. But when it comes to football, man, I think MLB catches a break there because they have so many, you're talking like 30 dudes max, I think, travel. So, when you're talking NCAA, NFL, you're talking 60, 80 dudes traveling, to every location, plus the 60, 80 dudes that are waiting on you when you get there. So, and that's not including staff, So it's going to be interesting to see how the NFL and NCAA are going to be able to continue their seasons based on, for one, we'll see how the MLB does and the NBA and NHL.
Check your phone,
but if
Ben.
NHL and NBA do well, I think bubble system is the only way that's going to work for right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So actually, that kind of moves us on to the next thing we wanted to talk about, which was the NCAA has what was it? I think it was like a week and a half ago, at least for Georgia. They released Georgia's schedule. So we're gonna kind of go through it. And of course, if you don't know already, everything's conference only. So Georgia's only playing SEC teams. So you can only imagine the kind of gauntlet that any SEC team is pretty much faced with. So we'll kind of go through here. We're going to talk about some games, just some of the games that we are looking forward to, and then we're actually going to dive into some other NCAA football schedules across the country. So starting off, Georgia's got Arkansas, which, and again, something that's going to be interesting. Is it going to be in Arkansas? Is it going to be in Georgia? Is it going to be in a bubble location? Currently, I think it's set to be in Arkansas.
Yep. So
and then
right now, I mean, at least with the SEC, they've, Greg Sankey's come out and said they're going to stay at the local stadiums. As far as population, it's going to be based on the local ordinances that are in place at the time. I do know a couple season ticket holders for Georgia. So it's basically 20-25% capacity. So there's going to be around, I think it's like 12 to 15,000 fans in the stadium. But the bad part is season ticket holders, they only get to pick one game. So they have so many season ticket holders, man. I mean, going back to it, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4, there's only 5 home games. So it's a 10-game season. There's only 5 home games. And I get it. Normally there's 6. So what's the big deal? But the problem is the capacity. So basically the entire capacity for this entire season is going to be what it is for one game. So you guys can kind of imagine, the cost to run these stadiums, the cost to, have these teams logistically move, logistically stay somewhere safe. Again, with all these extra protocols that they're putting in with COVID and things like that have to be done to keep these players safe, you can just start to see the incredible amount of money that is going to be lost this year.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man, because when you look at, when you look at big games like just looking at Georgia's schedule, of course this is an all SEC schedule, but some of these games happen no matter what. Auburn, that's a huge game every year. That game, you're missing out on so much money. Alabama. Now, we don't play Alabama every year. I'm not 100% sure if we were even scheduled to play Alabama this year. We were. So, okay,
We were.
so that was going to be a huge game. So that you're going to miss money on that. Georgia, Florida, of course.
Even tailgating. So I know a lot of fans that I know had just said, hey, we're going to turn this year into a tailgating year. We'll be in Athens every Saturday. We'll set up the TVs. We'll set up the satellites. We'll have the grill going, man. It'll just be a party in the parking lot. And UGA has come out and said, no, sir, you're not going to do that. That's already been on our mind. So I know for at least Georgia, it's no tailgating. Like I said, they are leaving it up. The SEC and Greg Sankey, they are pretty much leaving it up to the local ordinances. So it's whatever it comes out to be. I don't know what everybody's going to do, but at least at Georgia, man, the atmosphere, the whole Saturday in Athens thing is going to be a different story this year. And we've talked about all of these sports, all these organizations getting back going without fans. I think we have all been pleasantly surprised how well it has worked. I guess it was maybe a little weird at first, and then we all kind of got used to it. And now we just kind of pick out the fails in between the fake cheering and whatnot. I think football is going to be one of the sports that is seriously impacted by the fan atmosphere that will not be provided. I tell you what, man, there is nothing like the feeling of running out into Sanford Stadium with 120,000 people that are right there with you and just want to rip the other team's head off. I'm telling you what, even to this day, I go to a Georgia game, man, and the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, dude. There's nothing like it. So I can only imagine what it's like for the players that are down there And again, you have these kids who make these amazing plays, a big hit, a big run, a nice catch, whatever it is, and the whole stadium just erupts. And you're not going to have that this year. I mean, you're going to have your normal strength coaches on the sidelines going crazy on meth all game, but you're not going to have your fans that are just diehards in there. I think they even said they're limiting the student section to like 2,000 people. And man, 2,000 fans, dude. I think the student section is normally like 10 or 15.
I was gonna say 10 or 15. Yeah, it's gonna suck for sure. I mean, I'm gonna be real honest for a second. I actually have never been to a Georgia game. My dad was never a big Georgia fan, so he never took me. And then even when I was in the Army, it never took the time, even though I really should have, because I was only like, from where I was at, I was only like probably 4.5, maybe 5 hours from Athens. Maybe not even that. So I could have gone. I just never did, and I definitely haven't been since I gotten out. I've just been busy with trying to figure out the civilian life shit. But I actually have not been, but I do know. I played football for a while. I never got a chance to play in college, but I do know what it felt like to run out in a high school stadium that, where even in Georgia, even high school football is taken pretty seriously depending on how, small your town is and how good your team is.
Oh, you can get anywhere from, 10 to 20,000 depending on where you are. I mean, dude, I've been to places whole town shut down, man.
Yes.
Friday night at 3, Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Every town or every business in the entire town. I mean, hell, the damn McDonald's closed, dude. Because you know what? The boys were playing on Friday night.
Yep, every time, man. Yeah, and I can imagine what it must be like. I can't imagine, honestly, what it would be like to run out and, have 90+ thousand people, rooting for you and wanting you to beat the absolute shit out of the other team. So taking that out of the game is definitely going to be huge for football. I mean, that's just how football's played. Football is just a hyped sport. I mean, all these sports you get hyped for, NBA especially. You see a lot of dudes get hyped for basketball, but I don't think there's as much crowd influence as far as like pumping you up as there is in football. For whatever reason, maybe it's just because I never played basketball, and maybe I'm speaking ignorantly. I don't know. But to me, it just seems like maybe because there's more fans, you typically in a football stadium than there are in a basketball stadium. But some basketball stadiums are huge. It's definitely going to be a huge and kind of rude awakening, I think, for a lot of these teams. And again, you got to wonder, is it going to benefit these younger teams that got the freshmen and got the sophomores out there playing quarterback or running back, wide receiver? I mean, who knows who's going to come on top, Who knows what teams
it's definitely going – I think it's going to definitely benefit offensive teams just because you're not necessarily, again, going into those combative atmospheres. You're not going to have to deal with that noise factor. And again, even 15, 20,000 fans, I mean, no offense, by this time at this day and age with college, that's nothing. And if you can't space out, 20,000 fans, man, you ain't going to make it no ways, at least not in the SEC. So I think we're going to have some good football. I really do. I mean, like you said, Georgia's schedule came out, so – you already said it. They start off with Arkansas. Man, Arkansas, I'm telling you guys, mark it down right now. Sam Pittman is the truth. Arkansas stole Sam Pittman back. I mean, I get it. Kirby Smart stole him from Arkansas a couple years ago. Arkansas stole him right back. But, I mean, he is the guy that has the mindset to turn that program around. So I am interested to see what Arkansas puts together this year and kind of what they have moving forward. But, man, we get to October And John, at least for Georgia fans, man, this is the gauntlet, man. I mean, it's the gauntlet. It's so October and the first week of November, you got Auburn, Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Florida.
And you play
and that's
Alabama
5 straight weeks. That's 5 straight weeks.
You play Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, you play. So you got Auburn and Tennessee at home, which again, that's good. You got 2 home games, and then you're on the road back to back with Alabama and then Kentucky. Now I do know at least a week or 2 ago, Greg McGarity, the Georgia AD, said that as of right now, the Georgia-Florida game will still be played in Jacksonville. There was talks about it being moved to one Atlanta or even one of the campuses of Georgia or Florida. The problem with moving it to a campus, again, that would be the easiest, the safest, probably the smartest decision this year. As soon as you allow one team to have it on campus, next season it's got to go back to the other team. You can't have that going back and forth, no matter if it's played in Athens this year or Gainesville. They're going to have to do that. I know that they have an agreement with the city of Jacksonville, I want to say until like 2025 or something like that. They signed another 5 or 6 year deal with them. So that Georgia-Florida game has got to be played in Jacksonville, which I think is I think that's going to be kind of a logistical nightmare, to be completely honest. If the football season at that point goes off, let's say hitch-free, when these teams start traveling out of state, I think we're going to have a hard time. I mean, the state of Alabama has been hit really, really hard with this COVID, and especially since teams are even getting back on campus right now. I know Alabama and Clemson are the ones that keep coming out with huge numbers of positive tests. I mean, huge numbers. So I think it's only a matter of time until some of these other schools start coming out with those similar kind of results, to be honest.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be interesting when you look at who's been successful as far as organization-wise, who's been successful in running their season, and why have they been successful? Well, the 2 that have been successful have run bubbles. So it's going to be tough to convince all, because something else they're dealing with is college players not wanting to play. So if you don't instill some kind of confidence in these players that you're going to protect them from COVID and from, getting into contact with people who have it or teams that don't care, you're going to have to implement some sort of rules or regulations like the NBA and like the MLB did. Like the NHL did, to limit that player interaction, to limit the passing of the disease. Now, the thing that is going to be so hard to avoid is that player-to-player contact. Blockers have to block. Players have to tackle each other. So, and I get, NBA, you kind of box people out and body people up, but there's also not 15 people a play doing it. There's 2 players possibly bumping bodies, 3 or 4 players.
And it goes to the same thing that like the MLB's had to deal with. Okay, again, I keep hating on the Marlins just because they were the ones who got, kind of popped first and kind of started everything in motion. I think we all knew there was going to be this situation. There were going to be positive tests, and that's the thing. Before the NCAA even gets into this season, you have to understand there are going to be positive tests. But you also have to have those protocols set in place that you can keep playing even with the positive test. You have to take those procedures and have that ready to go.
What's going on, guys? John here from the Sports Project. Just want to take a little break here, let you guys know what our social medias are. So our Facebook is now the Sports Project.
And then we have Instagram. Go search the.sports.project and give us a follow.
And of course, you can catch us at Twitter sports_project. Make sure you guys go give us a follow, comment, get involved. We love to hear from the fans. We'll see you guys soon. Take it easy.
All right, guys. Sorry for that commercial break, but we're back. And so we were talking about Georgia's schedule and kind of COVID, different stuff like that. So we're going to move on to Ohio State's schedule. Thought that would be kind of interesting with the Big Ten being the way it is. So, of course, again, they're doing the same thing that all the conferences are doing, the conference-only schedule. So kind of understand who they're going to play. But I think the big games that you're going to look for, Ohio State and Michigan State. And I know Michigan State hasn't really been that great over the last couple of years, but I think Michigan State is just one of those teams, you know. They're going to have to play Michigan. They'll have to play Penn State. They'll have to play Iowa. They'll have to play Nebraska. And actually, what's funny is that actually they're all following those right on each other. So they got Nebraska, then they'll go Michigan State, Michigan, Maryland, Penn State, Iowa. That's how they'll finish out their season. So they kind of get off easy at first. Illinois, Rutgers, Purdue, Indiana, and then Nebraska, and from there. But it's going to be interesting, you know, at this whole SEC, Big Ten, ACC kind of slugfest that we've had over the past few years now. You know, of course, Alabama always ends up with the national title, seems like. But it is going to be interesting to watch the Big Ten sit here and beat each other up, and then just to see who's going to come out onto who really is the best team in the Big Ten.
Well, I'm wondering how all this is going to work out. I mean, like we just kind of talked about the SEC schedule, Georgia schedule in particular. I mean, their schedule ends. What is it? Okay, so they go into the first week of December. So, I mean, you know, the Big Ten, they came out the other day and said that they're actually talking about having a season that picks up, and they called it a spring season, but it picks up directly after Thanksgiving. What do you think about that?
Well, it's going to be pretty fucking tough to do if the SEC plays football in the fall. I mean, what?
I think the Big Ten is just so unfortunately, I think that they hate the decision that they made. I think they thought they were going to be more woke than the Pac-12, so they went ahead and you know, announced it. And now I think they're kind of regretting their decision, and they're figuring out how to salvage it whatsoever. I mean, look, I know a bunch of people in Ohio and even Michigan. These people are miserable, man. They love their football. And the Big Ten just took everything away from them. So they are not happy right now. And I really do think that they are trying to figure out how to salvage this in any way possible.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're allowing conferences to kind of make decisions on their own like this. I mean, I agree with certain things being able to make decisions on your own, but this is kind of a world or a country. This is a worldwide thing, but it's a countrywide thing, and you kind of have to loop it all together. You can't have, you know, one conference, I want to play this and I want to play then, and the other conference is going, I want to play this and I want to play at this time. Well, we all got to play at the same time, because at the end of the day, we have to determine who's the best team in the country. That's the main point of all this. Unless we're just going to play 10 random games and not determine who's the best team in the country, or at least determine who's the best team in that conference, I guess. Well, I guess that's all we'll get out of it, is who's the best teams in every conference. So I don't understand, you know, why the Big Ten and all these other conferences, I mean, SEC included, why they can't all get together and just go, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to run it. But this all conference thing, it bugs me, because, you know, I get it. You're trying to limit, you know, how many people come in contact with how many people, you know, so on and so forth. But and I understand there's a lot more teams, but the MLB's traveling team to team, no matter where they're coming from. The NBA's not really traveling, but they are playing team to team. You know, it doesn't matter who they are. They have their seedings. That's about it. Um, I just don't understand how you're going to be able to determine, because what if you have the ACC, Clemson Tigers, they got to play basically nobody to win their conference. So what do you do when Clemson comes out of the ACC with one loss to let's see who they play. So Wake Forest,
Oh, dude, that's what
Virginia,
I'm saying. Yeah, I just
Miami,
pulled it up, man.
Georgia Tech,
Bullshit.
Syracuse, Boston
Bullshit.
College, Notre Dame,
Bullshit.
Florida
Bullshit.
State,
Well,
Pittsburgh,
actually,
Virginia
that
Tech.
Notre Dame game will be pretty good.
So all right. So Notre Dame, right? Apparently they're playing all ACC. So what if Notre Dame comes in undefeated, beats Clemson, or no, let's say Clemson comes in undefeated. Notre Dame's got one loss, but then Notre Dame beats Clemson, puts Clemson at one loss. Okay, now you've got Clemson and Notre Dame coming out of the ACC, which Notre Dame coming out of the ACC is retarded. Why is that allowed? But we won't even talk about that. So Notre Dame, Clemson comes out of the ACC with one loss, and Georgia and Alabama are sitting here coming out of the gauntlet of the SEC with two losses each. How are you going to say that those two teams deserve to be in the playoffs over those two teams? Now, I'm not saying that those four teams couldn't be the four teams that go, but what about if you got a one-loss Ohio State or an undefeated Ohio State, God forbid? So, it's how are you going to run this all-conference schedule and be able to determine who should be in the playoffs if you're going to run a playoffs? And again, what kind of playoff system are you going to run? Because you have a little bit more time now. Assuming that you start the season relatively close to when you normally start it, you're missing 2 whole games. There's 2 games that you don't even have to worry about playing now. Plus, why even play a conference championship? You don't need that. You're going to get your
Yeah,
conference champion.
I just pulled up Notre Dame's schedule just for shits and giggles. We just went through Georgia's schedule. Look at this cupcake fest. I feel like I'm going to the damn bakery, boys. The Duke, South Florida, Wake Forest, Florida State, which again, I know their history, but lately they're garbage, man. Louisville haven't been anything since Lamar Jackson left. Yep. Pittsburgh is always a tough game.
They were barely anything when he was there, honestly.
Well, I still think they were a 3 or 4 loss team every year that he was there. They won their bowl games and things like that. And don't get me wrong, man, their offense was very prolific. And again, he's a great player, and he showed why he's successful in what he's doing now. But again, the overall team is trash. Pittsburgh is always, I think, just a tough game for many people. Georgia Tech, we're going to completely skip over that because nobody gives a shit. Clemson, I think this is the only game that's probably worth anything on their entire schedule. Yep. There's Notre Dame, Clemson. Everything after that, it's Boston College, UNC, and Syracuse. UNC, again, nice little scrappy team from last year. I really like who's the coach over there? I forgot his name, from Texas. Damn. Who's the North Carolina head coach? Forget his name.
UNC?
Yeah. Oh, Mac Brown. I knew it was from Texas. Brown. I couldn't remember. So Mac Brown, man, him in there with his little white boy dance moves, little scrappy team. I like him, man. So we'll see how it all comes together. This whole conference only schedule, I don't think it does anything for anybody except the SEC. Everybody's going to really see how deep the SEC is. I know that, again, being in the SEC, the South Carolinas, the Vanderbilts, the Kentuckys, these teams get shit on constantly in the SEC. The problem is, though, every time they go outside of the SEC, they're doing the shitting on. I think Kentucky's won the last 4 or 5 Louisville games, to date. So, man, it's going to be interesting, but definitely I think, unfortunately, the SEC got screwed in all this, and now they're just going to have to beat the shit out of each other.
Yep. Well, and when you're talking about the SEC, you think about teams like LSU, Alabama, those teams typically, yeah, they finish. Even Georgia usually finishes with 2 losses at the most, maybe 3, and that's usually on a year where they play Alabama, and Georgia. And Florida and Auburn and all them. So when those teams finish like that, you think, oh well, they run the SEC because those teams aren't, the teams they're playing aren't that good. You're fixing to find out what they are, because what typically happens is Alabama goes and plays LSU, and LSU plays Alabama. They've both played, crap teams for the past 2 weeks, or even maybe had a bye week. It ain't gonna be like that. You're going to come off playing Georgia, then you're going to go play LSU, and then you're going to go play Auburn. Or you're going to come off and you can go play Auburn, and then you got to go play Alabama, and then you're going to go play Tennessee, and then you're going to go play Florida. So, you're talking about seriously lining up some seriously massive, what typically in a normal season would be some massive games, or at least some really good games. And you're talking about lining them up right on top of each other. And that's just not the case in any of these other conferences. Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12, Big 12, even the Big 12. Oklahoma, their schedule is kind of, you could possibly fight for them to have like a tough schedule. But again, they're starting off with Missouri State, Kansas State, and then Iowa State. So Iowa State's about the only team there. Kansas State used to be, a top team. But Kansas State's the only team there that I would say is decent. Iowa State maybe.
I
Then
love how they kept. I love how they kept their Missouri State game. That is awesome. They kept their cupcake game.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Good for you guys. Good for you.
They get a little bit tougher coming into week 4. They get Texas, then they get TCU, then they get Texas Tech, Kansas little cupcake, and then Oklahoma State, which – Oklahoma State's always tough for them, and then they get West Virginia, and then they get Baylor. But the thing is, and the thing for me on the Big 12 is, Baylor is typically a relatively good team. Oklahoma State's typically a relatively good team. West Virginia has lately been bringing it back. Texas Tech has been bringing it back. Texas, of course, last year was pretty good. TCU kind of, to me, has fallen off from what they used to be, but they're still a decent team.
They were 5-7 last year. That's what I'm saying. Again, outside of your typical Oklahoma, even Texas was middle of the pack last year. That Texas, Oklahoma, those are normally your consistents, and then you're always going to have those, those little free runners that come through, your Iowa States who come in and cause some damage every now and again. Kansas State, who pulls out a good victory every, once in a decade. Oklahoma State, when you got Des Bryant and people like that, it's a little bit easier to be of substance instead of just being a loser every year.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's hard for me to back up Oklahoma's schedule with the fact that, they're playing Texas and TCU and Texas Tech and West Virginia and so on. Yeah, those teams are good, but look at their schedules prior to this year, not even just last year and year before that. Look at all of their years before that. They constantly play all Big 12 teams, and then when they go outside their conference, they're playing garbage. So
let's do this. So, again, Oklahoma this year, their hardest run that they have – fuck, man, I don't even know if – dude, they don't even have 2 hard games back-to-back.
That's what I'm saying. The only one –
They don't even have 2 hard games back-to-back, and we talked about 5 weeks of just pure hell for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and we haven't even gotten into Alabama LSU. Because you got to think Alabama, LSU, they're both going to play each other because we didn't even have LSU on our schedule. They're both going to play each other. And then they're both going to play probably Alabama's at least going to play Auburn. They're going to play Georgia.
So Alabama starts out with they start out with Missouri, Texas A&M, which watch out, boys. Jimbo's doing some shit.
Yes.
Then they got Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi
and Ole Miss is a
State,
struggle game for them too. Sometimes
LSU, Kentucky, Auburn, Arkansas. So again, man, not a cupcake walk. Nothing by any means.
I will say they don't have
LSU.
They don't have any crazy back-to-back games. You know what I mean? It seems like
Okay.
they're getting their games broken up.
So here's LSU, man. So LSU starts out Mississippi State. They got Vanderbilt and then Missouri. Then they have a gauntlet. Florida, South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama. So for a pretty tough month. Then they get Arkansas, which again we think is going to be a sleeper team this year, going to surprise a lot of teams. Texas A&M, again, you're catching them at the end of the season.
Yep.
If Texas A&M is still competitive, man, Texas A&M is going to be a problem for a bunch of people, and then they close out with Ole Miss. I'm a little bit confused as to why Ole Miss and Mississippi State are not playing last like they do every single year.
Oh, Ole Miss. The only thing I think of is it maybe messed with some kind of other scheduling error, and like because
How did it mess with another schedule? They always have that one scheduled.
Well, that's what I'm saying. This is a little different now. You're having to only schedule conference. So like the only thing I could think of is they scheduled your better teams first. So they scheduled Alabama, Georgia, LSU, those type of teams. And then based on those schedules, they said, oh, we can't play Ole Miss, Mississippi State last because, sorry,
Dude,
guys.
check out this
last.
Mississippi State schedule. So Mississippi State starts
Oh,
off with
boy.
LSU.
Oh,
Start
God.
off with LSU, Arkansas, Kentucky.
Ugh.
Make of it what you will.
They could come out
After
of there with
that,
2 losses.
After that, man, Texas A&M, Alabama, you get Vanderbilt, but then Auburn, Georgia, Mississippi, Missouri.
Eesh. That's gonna be rough.
I mean, dude, we could sit here for hours and go through these schedules.
I know.
It is going to be a gauntlet. It is going to be some good football. I just hope that we can keep these guys safe, keep them quarantined, so that we can get these games. Because that's going to be the other thing. I mean, you know, going into week 4, Georgia, Alabama. What if a team gets stricken with the COVID bug, dude? I mean, could you imagine a big primetime game in either of the teams? Hey, the entire starting defense is out due to COVID exposure. Hey, the entire offense is out due to COVID exposure. Oh, yeah, hey, Kirby Smart also got COVID as well, so he's not on the sideline either. I mean, you see what I'm saying, dude? Yeah. Any of this could be possible, and it's going to completely change everything for the entire season. Yeah. I really think we're in for a good year all around. Like I said, we just got to keep these guys healthy so that we can have our season and we can continue to get on here every week and have some fun with it.
Yeah, and talk about some shit. Golly, it's so tough. It's been tough lately. Been having to kind of just find stuff to talk about. Been talking a lot about the PGA. Which we're going to continue to talk about because the PGA has been really exciting. Put forth
it's been
some
awesome.
Yeah, it put forth some really good tournaments. I actually did not get to watch this tournament. I was kind of keeping up with it a little bit. But you know, of course, Kevin, our resident golf aficionado, could definitely take it away and tell you more about the tournament.
Yeah, so like John said, it's the BMW Championship. They were in Olympia Fields, Illinois this week. So this was I believe it was the top 50 players in the world. I want to say it was the top 50 players. And in order to proceed on to next week, which is down here in Atlanta for next week for the PGA Championship tournament, it's only the top 30 players in the world that were going to get an invitation. So, again, a lot of these top players coming in, playing really good golf. Jon Rahm, man, ice in the veins, comes back, started out the day today. I want to say he was 4 or 5 strokes behind the leader, Dustin Johnson. DJ came out really hot at first. Struggled a little bit through the middle of his round and gave up a couple shots, left the door open for Jon Rahm to come in there, went to sudden death, and, of course, Jon Rahm, being the man that he is, sinks a 68-foot putt to win the tournament in sudden death. I mean, I watched almost all of this entire tournament, man. I tell you what, as soon as he made that putt, it was one of those putts you could just kind of see it from the TV screen. I mean, he swung, and you see the ball just kind of going and going, and I inch up to the front of my seat, and it gets closer, and I'm inching up, and all of a sudden, dude, it drops, man, and my whole house erupted, man. It was amazing to see. Like I said, we've had really, really great golf. This course tore these professionals apart this year, though, man, or this week. For the entire tournament, there's only 5 players that did better than par. -4 won the tournament. Last week alone, DJ was at -30. So he's probably hoping or wishing he would have saved a couple of those from last week for this week. I mean, but it's absolutely insane. But that's what it tells you. I mean, Tiger Woods, I think for the 3rd time in his entire career, had all 4 rounds over par. And this man has played thousands and thousands of tournaments. And it was the 3rd time in his career, all 4 rounds were over par. So it just goes to show you guys kind of what this course was. It really made these guys struggle. But again, coming down like that, I was watching it the whole time. Like I said, today, I felt so confident with Dustin Johnson. I was really happy for him. He won last week. He's been struggling. He won last week, reclaimed his number 1 spot. He was back in the lead. This week he was on fire again. I mean, it just seemed like he completely kind of rechanged his headset and the way he was thinking and kind of playing the course out a little bit, and really did a great job. But Jon Rahm, man, number 1 golfer in the world, retains his title. He's going to go in next week with the number 1 ranking. So it'll be a good one next week, man. We got the PGA Championship coming up next weekend.
Yep, and he earned himself 1.7 on that win there. That's a nice little purse to be winning. I know we talk about the purse every time.
Nice little pocket change to go home with.
Yeah, I was gonna say that is probably pocket change for that man, number 1 golfer in the world. But yeah, so from what I can see now, I correct me if I'm wrong. They went into a sudden death because it seems like Jon Rahm and Dustin Johnson tied it up negative 4 under.
Yeah, so they were tied up at the end of their rounds today, which is why they went to sudden death. And then in sudden death, it was I think they were on the 18th is what they started their sudden death on. It was a par 4. Like I said, Jon Rahm got to the green in 2. He was 68 feet away, I believe.
It
was in sudden death.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I missed that part. I didn't know that was in
sudden death. And the funny part was after he made that 68-foot putt, Dustin Johnson still had an opportunity to sink his putt for the win. And ended up putting it about 3 or 4 inches away from the hole, which, again, they would have just went to another sudden death hole and kept going until somebody won. So it was a really great tournament, really great sudden death. I mean, just a lot of good action all the way to the end. So, like I said, next week is going to get a little bit better. These guys know that it's on the line. I mean, next week is it. The season's over as far as next week, as far as the FedEx points. Now they do start up pretty quickly again. I want to say there's only a week break in there, and then the 2021 season will start back up. But again, for 2020, man, this is all she wrote. So you're going to see a lot of players kind of go for it. They're going to take a lot of risk, and I think next week we're either going to see a bunch of players shoot really, really high because they are taking those risks and just not making the shots, or you're going to see these players going for it because they have nothing to lose, and they're going to show you what they can do, and they're going to put some numbers up that are going to be outstanding.
So I don't want to put you on the spot here, but, I mean, who do you think has a shot to win the PGA Tour?
Man, Jon Rahm has been one of those guys that kind of pulled me in. He's one of those younger guys who kind of maybe not, again, Tiger was always one of Those, drawing figures in. But I think Jon John Rahm has a great chance to win. Justin Thomas, who's been playing phenomenal, he did not play too well this tournament, but I do think he's going to get everything straight and come back out next week ready to rock. I think there's a couple other guys that could make a run for it. Matthew Wolff has done very, very well. And I even kind of like Harold Varner III, man, HV3. Not a lot of people are giving him some love, but he'll be out there. Don't forget your boys like Bryson DeChambeau. I mean, you know, old muscle man made it in too. So it's definitely a who's who. Like I said, this is the top 30 golfers in the world. You're not going to get better than this. They're going to be down in Atlanta next week. I've looked at the weather. So far, so good. It's supposed to be really well. Just a heads up for everybody who is listening to it, and you, John. So normally they do the tournaments Thursday through Sunday. This week it's going to be Friday through Monday. So when we're on here recording next week on Sunday, it'll be going through the third round, and then everybody can have that Monday hangover and see who wins the PGA Championship Monday. But it'll be awesome, man. Like I said, you're going to see these guys go for it. They got nothing else to lose. It's win or go home, and they're going to take it and rock with it. So it's going to be really great golf. I can't wait for it, and we'll definitely touch on it next week.
Yeah. You know, again, PGA's just been just knocking it out the park. You know, with these tournaments, and again with the sudden death, you know, just making it come down to the wire. I mean, I know that, you know, PGA doesn't really determine that, but you know, these players are determining it, and they're like you said, they're giving it everything they've got. They're leaving it all out there on the course, and they're putting their best shots out there. And it's showing. I mean, you see, I mean, this is probably like the fifth, I think, match that I've seen that has come down to sudden death, it seems like. So, you know, just fun to watch. And I didn't get to see this one, but I've got to see the last few, or the last couple at least. And, you know, again, it's just been fun to watch. So I've actually I did end up getting the Denver Utah game on. Denver's up 42-41 with 8:30 left to go in the second. So, you know, this is kind of turning out exactly how we expected. Fairly good game, seems like. So, Will, I'm going to keep watching this for sure. Matter of fact, hey, you got an update on the Braves game? Yeah.
Yeah, the Braves are 10-8 right now, top of the fifth.
Oh, we're maintaining that 2-run lead. Okay.
It's funny. In the second inning, the Braves had a 98.6% chance to win. 2 innings later, it is now at 64% chance to win.
Jeez.
So just like we talked about, man, we got to get that lead, but we got to keep it, man. Oh God, we got to figure something out, man. Pitching has been an issue.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Yeah, well, and that's what's funny, man. Because I talked about, again, with the whole we've been recording, but we haven't put out any content lately. But we have been recording. So I said, you know, a couple weeks ago when the season first got started, we were, I think, 2 weeks into the season. The Braves were actually looking pretty solid in pitching. Hitting was actually the struggle. Freddie wasn't consistent. We were missing a lot of players. Excuse me, due to injuries. But the pitching was actually really, I mean, they were good. And it was even better considering the fact that both of our catchers were basically not even on the team, I think, prior to the season beginning. So, you know, again, the pitching was looking good, and now all of a sudden it seems like now we've got the bats hot, you know, and it was 10-1 in the first inning. And now it's 10-8. So now the pitching is falling apart. And I get it. It's the Phillies. You know, they've got a good team. You know, and they've got Bryce and, oh gosh, I can't think of his name now. But, you know, they've got a good team, and I get it. But it seems like pitching is now is the issue. I mean, it's been that issue for the past couple games, it seems like. So I don't know how they're going to fix it. They put out something. They signed some guy today, I think. They put out something. They signed some guy, some nobody.
Someone from the Orioles or whatever it was. I forget exactly.
I saw his name and
what it was. They
I saw
got
his name,
lefty
looked up a
Tommy
couple stats.
Malone from the
He's got
Orioles.
he's 1-4 with like almost a 4 ERA.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And we gave up 2 players to be named later, which I never really understood how those trades work. I mean, what are they going to be like? Oh no, I want Acuna for the, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I get it. We're not going to give up that. And then it's like, so how do you ever come up to an agreement on this? Like, that's the most ridiculous shit I've ever seen. Like, we need full trades. Like, do you want this person? Do you want money? What do you want? Because we're not doing this bullshit.
The MLB and the NBA have the craziest trade situation. Like what happened, was it 2 years ago, I think, when we got Trae Young, how that whole trade went down with the Mavericks.
Even the supplemental NFL draft. Dude, I didn't know anything about that till Terrell Pryor got into it way back when. And then like the Patriots a couple years ago had like 17 supplemental draft picks. I'm like, how the hell does that happen?
Yeah, it's weird, man. I mean, the NFL, I'll admit, it's fairly understandable. I get the NFL's, how they kind of go through, but the NBA, like when we traded to Dallas, we traded our draft pick, but they picked Trae Young and we picked Luka Doncic, but we were already traded. We had already traded, and then we ended up trading players after. It was just so weird. I was like, why didn't we just trade picks? Why didn't they pick?
I still think we shouldn't have done that. God, I like Luka, man.
I like Luka. But it is tough for me to really consider which one I would rather have because I do like Trae.
Trae Young's nice.
He's nice. And I think the reasoning behind it is sound. They thought, and I mean it's still kind of up in the air whether this is the future of the NBA or not, but. Right. They went with the whole, the shooter is the future of the NBA. Well, it might be. I mean, we've seen what Steph Curry did. We've seen what Damian Lillard's been able to do in Portland. So maybe that is the future of the NBA. I don't know for sure. But Trae Young is nice, and he has fit this team really well. He's played pretty well. Him and John Collins together, I'm really excited to see. Especially with this, I don't think they had a whole season under their belt. I think they had like half a season under their belt together. But it's definitely gonna be interesting, and I'm excited. But yeah, I mean, a part of me does wish we had Luka. I mean, you see what he was able to do with Dallas, so does make you wish we had him. But nothing we can do now, So just kind of hope Trae Young's gonna be the best he can be. But So, again, guys, this will be the first thing that we've put out in probably, a couple months, I think it seems like. We'll start putting out more content on a more regular basis. And Brandon, of course, will be back. He should be back next week. But it will happen occasionally. It might be Kevin and Brandon. It might be Brandon and me. It might be me and Kevin. It just depends. But we will always try to have at least 2 of us here. But yeah, so just so you guys know, from here on, we will actually start doing, probably not with this podcast, I shouldn't say from here on, but eventually we will be doing where you really kind of have to tune into the YouTube or wherever we end up putting our videos or live streams to get the full podcast, because in our audios, you're going to get mainly just kind of what we were planning on discussing for that night, and you're going to get like what we were trying to put out. But if you go watch the video, you're going to get a lot more content, a lot more of us kind of bullshitting and talking, kind of switching subjects, kind of going back and forth about different things and random questions that kind of come about. And there's going to be other stuff that gets added. We're going to add some stuff in. We're going to add in some structural items that will be in every podcast, in every episode. We've, tried to implement a couple things and they just have kind of faded in and out, but we're going to get this thing more structured and more consistent. But y'all just keep tuning in and we'll keep putting out info. We'll keep putting out content. We'll be here. We're always going to be here.
In these streets.
But y'all take it easy. Y'all be good and y'all tune in next week. You just listen to the Sports Project.